Have you ever felt like your life was standing still, even when you're doing everything right? Like the world keeps moving, but you're stuck in the same place, waiting, praying, hoping. You're not lazy, you're not lost. You're in the pause before the shift. And that pause, it's not a punishment, it's a signal. Because right before something big happens, something divine, everything goes quiet. You start questioning everything, your faith, your choices, yourself. The people around you don't get it. They think you're just tired, just distracted, just distant. But deep down, you know something isn't the same anymore. You feel it, a restlessness, a tension, as if your soul knows what your eyes can't see yet. You look around and nothing seems to make sense. The doors you once walked through without effort, now shut. The people who used to support you, gone cold. You begin to wonder if you've missed it, if maybe this is it, your new normal. But listen closely. Confusion is not the end. It's the beginning of transformation. You were never meant to stay where you are. That deep ache inside you, that discomfort, that longing for more, it's not your weakness, it's your signal. You're being prepared for something beyond your imagination, something heavy enough to require silence, sacred enough to demand surrender. This moment right here, where you feel lost, alone, invisible, it's the doorway. Stay with it. Because the same silence that feels like rejection is actually the sound of heaven rearranging your future. You don't have to force it. You don't have to chase it. Just stay. Stay until it unfolds. Because when it does, nothing will ever be the same again. You were never meant to shrink yourself to fit a life that no longer matches your spirit. That tightness you feel in your chest, that sense that you're outgrowing the room you're standing in, it's not in your head. It's real. And it's urgent, because when your purpose starts pressing against the walls of your current life, everything around you begins to crack. Old habits won't satisfy you. Empty conversations exhaust you. Shallow goals lose their glow. You start seeing through things you used to chase, not because you've failed, but because you've grown. And with growth comes pressure, the kind that pushes you to confront your deepest fears. The fear of starting over, the fear of being alone, the fear that maybe, just maybe, you've wasted too much time. But here's the truth. God never wastes a season. Every delay, every detour, every heartbreak was data, and now it's being activated. That's why you're unsettled. That's why you can't pretend anymore. Your spirit knows what your circumstances haven't caught up with yet. You're on the edge of something massive. And that's exactly why the resistance has increased. It's not a sign to give up. It's proof that the enemy senses what's coming too. The pressure will try to convince you that you're not ready, that you're too broken, too far gone, too small. But here's what pressure doesn't know. It doesn't get the final say. Purpose does. And when purpose wakes up inside you, it starts burning everything that no longer belongs. Comfort gone, complacency gone, shallow living gone. You're being forged in fire, not to be consumed, but to emerge refined, stronger, clearer, called. The battle you're fighting right now, it's not meant to destroy you, it's meant to deliver you. And when you come out on the other side, you won't just be blessed, you'll be undeniable. Every breakthrough is born from a breakdown. And right now, you might be standing in the middle of one. Everything feels unstable. Familiar things no longer feel safe. The life you built feels like it's being stripped away piece by piece. But what if it's not falling apart? What if it's falling into place? There comes a point where God doesn't ask for your permission. He asks for your surrender. Because the version of you that can carry the blessing cannot look like the version that survived the battle. And so, the fire intensifies, not to harm you, but to burn off what's no longer needed. Pride, fear, doubt, dependency, it all has to go. That's why the pressure feels personal, because it is personal. You're not being overlooked, you're being refined. You're not being punished, you're being positioned. Right here, right now, in this sacred stretch between what was and what will be, God is preparing a version of you that won't just receive the promise, you'll be strong enough to hold it. But you have to hold the line. You have to outlast the fear. You have to keep walking even when your legs shake. Because purpose isn't passive. It demands everything. Your focus, your patience, your trust, especially when there's no confirmation, no clarity, no crowd cheering you on. This is the space where most people quit. But you're not most people. You've felt the calling too deep to ignore. And even if everything outside you says stop, something inside you keeps whispering, keep going. Because you weren't created for small things. You were created to shake the ground when you walk, to carry weight others can't, to rise when everything says fall. That's why the fight has been so fierce, because the blessing ahead is too heavy for weak hands. But your hands, they're being strengthened by the fire. Stay in it. Don't you dare step back. The moment you think you're about to break is the moment heaven is about to open. There's a reason the enemy has been attacking you harder lately. It's not because you're weak, it's because you're dangerous. The closer you get to destiny, the more violent the opposition becomes. That tension you feel in your chest isn't anxiety, it's resistance. It's the pressure of greatness trying to break through the limits of your current life. This is the part no one talks about. The crushing weight of almost. The ache of waiting when you're standing on the edge of something you can feel but not see. It's in this moment where many collapse, not because they didn't want it, because they didn't know how close they really were. But you, something in you is still burning. And that's no accident. It's proof. Proof that God hasn't left you, that the assignment on your life is still active, that the promise still stands, that everything you've endured has been building this moment. You're not here by mistake. You were chosen, handpicked to carry something that no one else could. That's why the road has been so rough. That's why the doors didn't open easily. That's why you had to walk alone. You weren't being punished. You were being trusted. And now heaven is watching to see if you'll fold under the pressure or rise with purpose. The weight you carry right now, it's the weight of a future you haven't seen yet, but it's real. It's already yours. The question is, will you stand still long enough to receive it? No more shrinking, no more doubting, no more waiting for perfect conditions. The time is now, the shift is happening, and your name is already on the miracle. You can feel it now, can't you? That pull, that tension between who you've been and who you're becoming. It's getting harder to pretend, harder to settle, harder to stay quiet when your spirit is screaming for more. That's not frustration. That's revelation. You're not just changing, you're being called. And with that calling comes disruption. People will misunderstand you. Some will walk away. Others will question your sanity. Let them. This path was never meant to be understood by the crowd. It's sacred, set apart, and so are you. That's why you don't fit anymore. Not in that job, not in that relationship, not in that version of your life. You're outgrowing everything that once held you. And that discomfort, it's confirmation. Growth always starts in the dark, but what's been hidden is about to be revealed. Your old life was built on survival. This new one, it's built on calling, and calling costs. It demands that you let go of everything that kept you safe but small. It demands you trust what you can't prove yet, that you walk when there's no path, that you believe even when it breaks you. But listen to me, this pain has a purpose. It's shaping your voice, your authority, your power. When you rise, you won't rise the same. You'll carry fire. You'll carry wisdom. You'll carry scars that turn into keys for someone else's breakthrough. So don't hold back now. You didn't come this far to retreat. You didn't survive all that chaos to stay quiet. You were meant to move mountains. You were meant to unlock what others thought was impossible. And if you can feel the fire inside you, it means the heavens are near. Stay grounded. Stay fierce. Stay ready. Because when God moves, he doesn't give warning. He gives confirmation. And this is yours. This is the part where most people let go. Right before the shift. Right before the blessing. They walk away because the silence is too loud, the pressure too heavy, the wait too long. But you are not most people. You didn't survive all that just to stop now. You've been forged in storms, shaped in silence, strengthened in solitude. Everything inside you that feels stretched. That's capacity being built. You're being prepared to carry more, to handle more, to lead more. And that kind of preparation isn't gentle. It breaks you open. It exposes what's weak so what's strong can rise. You're not being broken down, you're being broken open. This is divine disruption, the kind that rewrites everything. God doesn't elevate the comfortable, he elevates the surrendered. And when he finds someone who won't give up, who won't bow to fear, who still says yes through the tears, that's the one he trusts with the weight of something big. Don't mistake delay for denial. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it's not coming. Some of the greatest gifts show up disguised as struggle. Some of the loudest answers come through the quietest seasons. And if you're in the in-between right now, don't run, don't numb it, don't negotiate with it, feel every inch of it. Because the pain is holy. It's working on levels you can't see. It's loosening chains you didn't know were still there. It's positioning you for a moment that will change everything. This is your season of becoming. And becoming always comes with breaking. But if you can endure the breaking, you'll unlock a power that nothing can steal. Not fear, not failure, not even time. You're almost there. And what's waiting for you on the other side is bigger than anything you've prayed for. Don't blink. Don't back down. You're about to walk into what you were born for. You can feel the shift now. It's in your bones. It's louder than doubt, stronger than fear. Something inside you refuses to settle. You're tired, but not finished. You're wounded, but not weak. You've carried too much, lost too much, cried too hard to walk away now. This is your crossing point, the place where destiny either dies from hesitation or comes alive through boldness. The pressure you feel right now, it's not meant to paralyze you. It's meant to push you into obedience, into alignment, into power. Because when God is about to release something massive, he doesn't send a sign, he sends a shaking. And that's what you've been feeling, not destruction, distinction. You're being marked for something that others won't understand. That's why they've left. That's why they've doubted you. But they weren't meant to see it, because this moment, this calling, this level, it's only for you. So don't waste your strength trying to prove yourself. You were never meant to be understood by those without your vision. Protect your fire. Guard your hunger. Feed your focus. Because the enemy doesn't attack what's empty, he attacks what's full. And your future is full. It's full of favor, full of purpose, full of people waiting on you to rise. You don't even know how many lives are connected to your yes. How many chains will break because you refuse to quit? How many walls will fall because you decided to speak? How many generations will shift because you chose to believe? You weren't born for small. You weren't created to repeat pain. You were called to break patterns, to disrupt curses, to birth legacies, and you already know it. That's why you can't unsee the vision. That's why even when you try to walk away, something keeps pulling you back. It's not over. It's about to begin. You weren't meant to stay hidden forever. You've been in the shadows long enough, watching, waiting, preparing, but now everything around you is pressing in, not to crush you, but to reveal you. The pressure has been loud because your silence has power. And the moment you open your mouth, something shifts in the atmosphere. That's why the enemy tried to distract you. Why life got noisy right before the breakthrough. Because if you ever realize what's inside you, if you ever move in full faith, if you ever act like you're already chosen, everything around you has to bow. But here's the truth most ignore. Miracles cost, not money, not fame, but obedience. Relentless obedience in the face of confusion, delay, and fear. When nothing around you matches what God whispered to your spirit, but you trust anyway. That's what opens gates no one else can touch. You're not late. You're not forgotten. You're being timed, positioned, set apart. And the silence you've been sitting in, that's where your roots were growing. That's where your character was forged. Because elevation without depth is a collapse waiting to happen. But you've got depth now. Wait. Fire. Don't you dare shrink when the door finally opens. Don't apologize for your strength. Don't hold back your truth to make others comfortable. You paid for this version of yourself with every lonely night, every tear, every battle you thought would break you. And now the heavens are leaning in, watching to see if you'll trust what they placed in you, watching to see if you'll carry it well, because you've been entrusted with something sacred. And when you move, others will follow. When you rise, they will remember how they almost gave up until you didn't. You're not just walking into favor. You're walking into responsibility, into legacy, into purpose that echoes beyond your name. This is the moment where everything inside you is being asked to choose. Will you rise or will you retreat? Will you lean into the discomfort or run from it like before? You already know what playing small feels like. You've worn that version of yourself, but it doesn't fit anymore. That voice inside you, it's not just a whisper, it's a call. A call to stand in rooms you once felt unworthy of. A call to stop surviving and start leading. You don't need another sign. You are the sign. You're the confirmation someone else is praying for. The proof that pain can be turned into power. That broken pieces can still build something sacred. That darkness doesn't get the final word. You keep waiting for conditions to be perfect. But storms don't clear the sky before destiny shows up. Sometimes the blessing is in the middle of the battle. And if you wait for comfort, you'll miss your calling. If you wait for confidence, you'll miss your crown. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to move through the fear. That's what separates those who watch life happen from those who change it. One act of obedience, one moment of courage, one step in the direction of faith, not certainty. And when you take that step, doors will move. Not because you forced them, but because heaven recognizes momentum, because favor follows forward, because you finally decided to act like the miracle you are. You've spent years asking if you're ready. But maybe readiness isn't a feeling. Maybe it's a decision. A moment where you stop doubting your anointing. A moment where you stop shrinking to make others feel safe. This is that moment, right now. Not when it feels easier, not when it makes more sense, but right here, right now, as you are. Because who you are right now is already enough for what's coming. Let me know if you'd like to continue this momentum or need a compiled master script ready for voiceover. If you could see what's waiting on the other side of your obedience, you'd stop hesitating. You'd stop asking if it's worth it. You'd stop giving fear a seat at the table, because what's ahead of you doesn't compare to what you're leaving behind. The pain, the doubt, the delay, they were never meant to be your identity. They were training. Fire doesn't just burn, it forges. And you were forged for this moment. Every setback has been allowed for a reason, to strip you of what can't go with you, to sharpen your focus, to deepen your roots. You weren't rejected, you were redirected. You weren't forgotten. You were being formed in silence. The spotlight doesn't create greatness, the wilderness does. And you've survived your wilderness. Now it's time to walk like someone who knows their God doesn't waste pain. This is why the attacks increased. This is why the pressure intensified, because you are getting too close. Close to clarity, close to confidence, close to the version of yourself that doesn't beg for crumbs when you were made to own the table. And now the world is about to see what the dark tried to hide. Because light doesn't beg for attention, it breaks in and takes over. You are the light, not perfect, not always ready, but chosen. And being chosen means being challenged, being trusted with trials, but also with impact, with influence, with authority that doesn't need validation to move. So move, speak, build, shift, because heaven has already said yes. The only thing left is your agreement. And when you align with the promise, nothing can stop the process. Not fear, not people, not even your past. You're not watching this by accident. You were meant to hear this because God is about to give you something big. And he had to make sure your spirit was awake before your life exploded with blessing. Some of the battles you're facing right now aren't meant to break you. They're meant to expose what was already inside you. Strength you forgot you had. Faith you buried beneath survival. And vision that only pain could unlock. Because sometimes pressure doesn't crush. It clarifies. It reveals what's real. It separates what's fading from what's forever. You keep wondering why it hurts so much. Why the weight feels heavier when you're trying to do right. But pressure increases just before the breakthrough. Darkness grows thickest right before the dawn. And resistance is greatest right before you step into alignment. You're not being punished, you're being positioned. There's a version of you on the other side of this moment that will not recognize the one who almost gave up. That version walks different, speaks different, believes different because they've seen what endurance builds. They've learned that delay is not denial, that silence doesn't mean absence, and that heaven moves when you do, even if you can't see it yet. So keep showing up, even tired, even afraid, even when the reward seems distant. That's how transformation happens, not in the moments that feel good, but in the ones that require grit. When faith is a choice, not a feeling. When you trust the promise more than your circumstances. You've cried for this, fought for this, grown through things no one even knows about, and still you rise, still you show up, still you believe. That's what makes you unstoppable. Not perfection, but persistence. Not clarity, but courage. You were made for this moment. Not someday, not next season, now. because everything you've walked through wasn't just preparing the blessing, it was preparing you to carry it. The enemy doesn't fight what isn't a threat. If your life feels like a constant war, it's because you carry something powerful, a purpose that terrifies darkness, a light that disrupts comfort zones. You weren't called to blend in. You were chosen to break patterns, to disrupt generational cycles, to rise where others gave up. And that kind of calling comes with a cost, but it also comes with a covering. There are moments when you'll feel alone, when your prayers echo back like silence. But silence is never the absence of God. It's often the preparation for his loudest move. Heaven isn't ignoring you. Heaven is building something, strategically, carefully, perfectly, not on your timeline, but right on time. And right now, everything around you is being rearranged. Every delay, every detour, every closed door, it's divine orchestration. Because God doesn't give small blessings to big warriors. He stretches you first, expands your capacity. Then he fills you in ways you didn't even know you needed. This is why you can't stop now, why quitting isn't an option. Because what's on the line isn't just your peace, it's your legacy, your children, your name, your story. You're not just breaking through for you, you're breaking through for everyone connected to your yes. It's not about how strong you feel, it's about how faithful you're willing to be. Even when you're weak, even when you're unsure, even when it would be easier to just let go. Because obedience opens doors that hustle never could. And surrender wins battles your strength never will. Your breakthrough is closer than it feels. That's why the pressure is peaking. That's why the fear is loud. But fear is always loudest when it's losing. And right now it's losing. Because you didn't come this far to break. You came this far to birth. You were never meant to fit into a world that doesn't recognize the weight of your calling. That restlessness you feel, that fire that won't go out no matter how much life tries to drown it, it's not in your head. It's holy. It's proof that God placed something inside you that refuses to be silenced. You've outgrown the old version of you, and that tension you feel right now is the stretching before the shift. Every storm you faced was training. Every heartbreak was refining. Every loss carved space for what's about to arrive. Because when God gives something big, he clears out what can't carry the blessing. He removes what's comfortable so he can anchor what's eternal. That pain wasn't punishment, it was preparation. And now, heaven is aligning the moment with the mission. Don't mistake the mess for the end. Some of God's greatest miracles are born in chaos. Some of his loudest answers begin in stillness. And right now, even if you can't see it, even if you feel surrounded by delay, you are standing on sacred ground, the kind of ground where faith is forged and purpose becomes unstoppable. You've been hidden on purpose. God covers what he's growing. He protects what the enemy fears. And when the time is right, when your heart is ready, your mind is steady, and your spirit refuses to shrink, he'll reveal it, suddenly, publicly, unapologetically. And when that moment comes, it will make sense why you had to wait, why it hurt, why it didn't happen sooner. Because what's coming isn't ordinary, it's divine, it's big, and it's yours. And when it finally begins to unfold, it won't look like what you imagined, it'll look better. Because God never delivers according to your comfort, he delivers according to your calling. And callings come with weight. They stretch you, confront you, and break what isn't strong enough to last. That's why you felt pressure. That's why the timing felt cruel. It wasn't punishment, it was precision. You're not late, you're not behind, you're being aligned, you're not overlooked, you're being prepared for visibility you couldn't carry a year ago. The version of you that begged for answers back then wasn't ready for the responsibility that comes with blessings this big. But now, you're starting to see it. You're beginning to feel the ground shift beneath you. That's not anxiety, that's awakening. People will think you appeared overnight. They won't see the nights you cried, the prayers you whispered, the times you almost gave up. But God saw it. He counted every tear. And he's weaving it all into your story, not to shame you, but to crown you. Because when you rise, you'll rise with depth. You'll rise with compassion. You'll rise with authority that only pain can buy. So don't step back now. Don't shrink just because it's unfamiliar. You've come too far, and heaven has invested too much in your becoming. There is a moment ahead with your name on it, and when it arrives, you won't have to force it. You'll just have to walk into it, bold, broken, and more ready than you've ever known. You weren't born to blend in. You were born to break patterns, to challenge norms, to carry light into places that forgot what hope looks like. That restlessness inside you, that fire that won't go out, it's not a flaw, it's a signal. A signal that your spirit remembers who you are even when the world tries to make you forget. They told you to wait your turn, to stay small, to be realistic. But something inside you knew better. You didn't survive everything just to settle. You didn't walk through hell to live an average life. That pain was a price. And now it's time to collect. Because your purpose isn't just about you. It's about everyone who's going to rise because you chose not to quit. There's someone out there who needs your breakthrough to believe theirs is possible. Someone watching, silently hoping you don't fold, because if you make it, maybe they can too. So stand up. Not because it's easy, not because you're fearless, but because you finally realized the fear was never as strong as the reason you started. You are not here by accident. The fight, the delays, the silence, it was all building something in you that comfort never could. You're not weak, you're not broken. You are becoming, and every scar, every setback, every moment you wanted to disappear is now fuel. You carry fire in your bones. And the world is about to see what happens when someone who was never supposed to win refuses to lose.